Hello, my name is Coach John Smith, the head coach at Oklahoma State University. Join with me and my partner is my oldest brother Leroy, who was the head coach at Arizona State University for several years, coached several All-Americans, coached national champions, was also the national teams coach for USA Wrestling from 1988 through 1992, probably the most successful era of freestyle wrestling we've ever had. He's also been the national coach for Switzerland, and he's currently the executive director for the National Wrestling Hall of Fame here in Stillwater. And I will be asking him for his input as we go along in this video. You know, one thing about coming off the mat that I found as a coach is it can be a very tough position to teach. One, because it's boring. It's probably one of the most boring areas in wrestling. I really dread the weeks that we have where we're covering down wrestling. It's long, it's tough on the kids, just not a lot of action, a lot of listening. And we have a tendency, I believe, as coaches and as athletes to neglect this area often. We have a tendency of going into the wrestling room and spending 45 minutes drilling on our feet, covering our takedowns, covering our defense, maybe spend 15 minutes on the mat covering pin in position, and then maybe just 5 minutes on escapes. And that's the biggest reason why I think that we struggle as a nation, whether it be junior high, high school, or college, guys getting off the mat. It's time that needs to be spent. There needs to be a portion of your season devoted to coming off the mat. And there ain't any question stand-up is the best escape. I'm just covering the stand-ups. The hip heists, any type of rolls, those are all good as well. But I think it's real important that you have some type of good stand-up, just for the fact that if you've got to get out in 5-10 seconds, the move to go to is a stand-up. To at least start that motion up, learning how to explode up. But it's an area where you can't make a lot of mistakes. And you need to understand that. It's got to be pretty solid effort, solid skill to be able to come out from underneath. So with that, I look forward to working with my brother on this video, and I hope that you gain some great knowledge from it. When we start with the stand-up, first you got to find a position that you're comfortable in. And the one thing about it that's effective about a stand-up is that you can't rely just on one starting position. You might know your opponent, you might know what he likes to go to, so it may change your position. So as we go through these techniques today, I'm going to show you how to change your position for certain opponents, what they do, especially when you know what they're going to. But your base position needs to be comfortable, and there's a lot of ways that you can set up to feel that comfort. A lot of it depends on the flexibility in your knees. A lot of it depends on the flexibility in your ankles. Can you take your ankles wide? Can you sit your butt in between your knees? Some people don't have that type of flexibility, so you got to kind of work within what your body allow you to do. Heavy weights may be a little bit different, a little bit tougher to come up, a little bit tougher stand up. I will show a heavyweight stand-up, something that I've had several of my heavyweights over the years work and become very effective. But as I said in the interview before the technique video, is that you got to learn to come off the mat. And the biggest problem that we have of coming off the mat is we don't spend enough time on it. We want to spend time on our double legs, our single legs, our high crotches. We want to spend time on our defense, and then we give a little bit of time in practice to our stand-up or to our escapes or to our reversals. Coming off the mat can be the hardest part of wrestling, and you need to remember that that it's an area that you can score points from, you can score reversals from, and on most cases off of the reversals comes near fall points, the possibility of taking the guy to his back. So with that, we'll start our position. Now, wherever you feel comfortable as far as your flexibility and where you want to be, this is the starting lines, what normally a mat has, and you have to have your hands over the top, obviously, and knees behind. Now, for explosion coming up, what do you want to focus on first? We want to focus on our head and chest coming up first. We get a tendency of wanting to step very quickly, getting a leg out, which that is not nearly as important as me getting my head and chest up. My head and chest should come up first. My legs should come out before my head and chest comes up. My head and chest should come up, and then my leg comes out. Now, when I get set in a referee's position, I prefer to take my ankles a little bit wider, stick my toes in the mat, and drop my butt as low as I can. Now, I have pretty good flexibility in my knees here that allows me to do that. Some people don't, okay? Some people might prefer to take their shoelaces down. But as far as explosion up, I think there's a lot of ways you can set up to be able to get your head and chest and explode straight up. I don't think there's one situation that you got to use to allow that pressure and that power coming up. I've seen guys take their ankles out, okay, and sit on the inside of their ankle right here, rolling that ankle under, sitting down with their head and chest up, okay. But in the end, we want to just make sure that our head and chest is coming up. As I said before, working with me today is the Executive Director of the Hall of Fame, National Hall of Fame here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, Leroy Smith. Okay, we're going to first work an inside leg stand-up. Now, I do believe there's probably several ways of teaching this. There are a lot of that are very effective in ways of coming up and out of this position. I'm going to show you the way I've learned it, the way we teach it here at Oklahoma State. And it's not the only way, but I do believe there's a couple key things here as coaches and as athletes that we have to remember to make sure that does not happen when we're working a stand-up, to be effective over and over again with the stand-up. When my opponent gets set and we're working an inside leg stand-up, what an inside leg stand-up is that we're going to explode with this side of our body coming up. Now, when I explode back and into my opponent, what I want to focus on is getting my butt up off my heels. We have a tendency of wanting to do this when we explode here and keep our butt down low and then try to stand up. Okay, we don't have that time. This is a lot of effort. Leroy could be chopping me. Leroy could be running my pressure forward here. I don't have that type of time. So when the whistle blows, yes, I'm going back, and I'm trying to jar him. I want to try to make him bite his tongue, run his chin right into to his back of his head if I can. So when I explode up, I want to explode here, okay, in this position. Now, what I'm doing is I'm covering the hand, and when I cover the hand, I want to control all four fingers here, okay, in this position. I slap the hand, thumb comes inside. Now notice that my palm's up, my elbow's in, okay. I want to keep it on the inside of that hip. If we have a tendency, sometimes when we explode, we want to do this, keep our palms down, both of them down, and we shoot by our hip. And Leroy, from this position, comes inside, can overbar, come underneath through the hole here to get to my wrist, okay? We don't want to block it. We want to block that hand. If Leroy is going anywhere, I'm going to make him go under that arm to go get that hand, okay? Now, time is essential here. The advantage at this point, as we get to our feet, if I don't come out quickly, the advantage goes to Leroy, okay? In this position, I think it's, once we get to our feet, for me to escape, I've got to be quick at what I do. So once I get to my position, I'm going to really react to work hard to get to escape. So from here, again, as I explode, I'm coming up, hips coming up, here. Now everything reacts. I bring my foot up, okay? Now in this position, I'm usually going to get pressure from my opponent, and that's what's going to force me to my feet here, okay, in this position. Now, a couple key things that we always want to remember. Anytime I come up, I want to make sure that I have a lead leg out. I never want to be square-footed here, because one reason is I can't turn. I can't hip heist out one way or the other, okay? So once I get to my feet, that inside leg, it stays out. If Leroy puts pressure on me, I walk my feet. I keep my feet out. I don't step. Go ahead and push. I don't step and take my hips in. This is where I have problems, okay? Biggest problem with the stand-up is not so much coming up off the mat, is when we get to our feet, we make mistakes when the opponent starts pushing us, okay? We start moving the other foot. Instead of keeping that lead leg out, hips down. I make him carry my weight, hips down, okay? So again, in this position, off the whistle, I'm going up, up, and back here, and then up. Now, all that's all that looks like I'm taking steps, okay? When I explode, I'm doing it all at once, okay? But what I want to emphasize is it's more important for me to get my butt up off my heels and my head up than it is to step that leg up, okay? Because here's what happens a lot of times when we get excited. You see quite often you see this position right here. The whistle blows, the guy's trying to bring his leg up before he brings his head and chest up, and what happens here is we get here. We get bent over the top of our position, okay? And from here, we normally go back down to the mat, and we're looking to try to recover, okay? So we lost the whistle. We lost the starting position, which is very important, is to get the start on the whistle and doing the proper things from the whistle start. That's going to determine a lot of your success, especially against a good rider. And if we get in a hurry to take that inside leg stand up and step that leg up, 90% of the time I call it a V. We end up in a V here with our body. This is the last position. I'm not coming up without my hips. Cradle, that position. It's going to be real tough for me to come up. You switch sides, chop, okay? It's not so much Leroy stopped my position as it is that I technically did the wrong thing against a good rider. Now, if he wasn't a good rider, I may not be exposed to it. I may be able to come on up in that position, but very doubtful. So we don't want to put our body in a V. We want to make sure our head and chest is backing up, inside control, coming up here and up. Okay? Now from here, I'm going to get a reaction. As he pushes and he starts to come up, I push. I push that hand down. Don't try to pick it off and take it like this. I push it. Okay? I push it. And as I control it, I'm just taking it to my far hip pocket, and I'm hip heist. And when I hip heist, bend my knees. Bend my knees. Okay? And I touch the mat to make sure I change levels. Now, I don't know why, but a lot of people have a problem, even with my level of athletes. We have a problem when we get to this position. What we want to do is we want to throw our hips up. We want to straighten our legs out and turn. Okay? And a lot of times we're up here high, guy redrops and takes us over. Okay? So our natural reaction is you hear often growing up and you're working on your stand-up, you hear often back pressure, back pressure, back pressure. I think that's what most people are believing, what they're doing is back pressure. But when they're doing the back pressure, they're straightening their legs. So when they want to turn, okay, their legs are locked. Okay? And actually the opposite should be occurring here. Yes, it's back pressure, but more importantly, down. I want him carrying my weight. I want him carrying my weight when I hip heist out. So from here, once I get to this position, right here, down. Bend your knees. Okay? If Leroy's standing tall here, he's trying to get his hands locked. Okay? I want Leroy to feel my weight. I want him to feel my weight. Okay? I can't lock my hands around him. Okay? It's going to be real hard if he's bending his knees. Bend your knees. I feel like I'm having to grab him and hold him up here. Okay? And the only reason I'm feeling that is because he's changing levels there and he's making me carry his weight. Now, if I can't push this arm down with this one hand, I'll take this thumb and dig it in with it. But at the same time, I'm not raising that elbow up. I'm keeping that elbow glued. Now I slide it. Now from here, I just want to put it to my far hip pocket as I change levels. Okay? And a good teaching tool is to always touch the mat, because you're going to take away that redrop or guy coming back with that double leg. Okay? Always touch the mat. You're blocking through. I got my down block. Okay? Now some guys will be able to come up, boom, hit, come right out. But when we come out of that stand up and we hip heist out, changing levels is important. With that, Leroy, do you have anything to add?
I'd say when you get to your feet here, it's important to remember and to understand that, as you mentioned, you've got a staggered stance, because in a square stance, I can run you off the mat. He's not really able to put any pressure back on me. like he is when he has a staggered stance. When he has a lead foot out there, he's got the balance and the ability to put weight back into me. And so it's not as easy for me to run him off the mat, because it's unfortunate when you get this far in your stand-up and somebody runs you out of bounds and you have to start over again. So by doing this, John's able to now put pressure back into me so I can't run him out of bounds. And also, anytime I push into him, it helps him move his hips away and get it and clear for the escape.
In down wrestling, I mean, especially on the stand-up, I've never seen, when two wrestlers are out wrestling, two very competitive wrestlers, I've never seen a sloppy stand-up win. You know, I've seen when two guys are wrestling, a guy take a bad shot, really should have been scored on, he got to the leg, able to suck it in and finish. Technique in the down position with the stand-up, it's got to be good. And when you're wrestling good people, especially with a good wrestler on top of me. I can't be sloppy. I can't not have part of this movement down, that I'm making mistakes when I'm extending my legs like we discussed. A couple little drills is just to learn how to keep that back pressure. Like Leroy said, keeping those knees down, having a guy push me, trying to push me out, keeping those knees down and turning. Our tendency a little bit, when a guy starts to want to push on me, our tendency a little bit is to plant our feet. Even with the staggered foot, he pushes on me, we plant our feet. Okay? We got to keep moving. Okay? I do not have the strength of position here. Leroy, if he wants to move me forward, he's going to move me forward. But he's just not going to do it at the rate I want or at the rate he wants. So a good little position is getting in there, changing levels, having the guy push you, you changing levels, keeping your stagger stance out, keeping one leg out in front, being ready to cut back under. Whatever leg goes out in front, preferably it is the inside leg that we're standing up with. That's the leg we're hip heisting under or cutting back under to score a 1-point escape. Okay, I know my opponent's going to chop here. I've watched him on tape, or I've seen several of his matches on tape, or I've watched him maybe the match before. And I see that he's going to the chop every time. Chop is one of the best tools of a breakdown there is in collegiate wrestling, along with the spiral ride and ankle ride, and we're going to cover all three of those. But on the chop, if I know he's going to chop, it depends on what kind of stand-up guy I am. If I struggle sometimes with coming up, okay, I might do one thing. If I know I can explode up and beat him, then I may do a different thing. So I'm going to take the attitude right now that I'm good at a stand-up. I get my head and chest up. I'm normally my head and chest up, and I get my legs out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to beat this arm. I know he's going to chop, and the way you always know of a chop guy is just what Leroy did. He'll take his elbow high, and then he'll bring it back in, okay, right here. And he'll usually grip. He sometimes grips this elbow a little bit tighter, okay. And another thing that you always notice is they'll try to cheat this tight waist. You get a guy and he likes to chop the elbow, he'll try to cheat that tight waist. He'll squeeze your waist. And I know what's coming here. So off the whistle, all I'm going to do is what we call a cross to the wrist stand up. So on the whistle, I'm going to clear this arm before he can chop it. Whistle blows. My first motion is the same. Everything's the same of what we taught with an inside leg stand up. My head and chest is coming up, but at the same time, I'm shooting this arm across my body. Okay? And as I do that, I'm catching this wrist. Okay? Leroy's going to chop. Whistle blows. I'm here. Okay? I may not get his wrist. Okay? But I'm blocking. Now from here, I'm coming right back inside. And everything starts from here. He pushes me back up. Okay? He pushes me up. Hands. Changing levels. And escape. Okay? Hip heisting out. Okay, but what Leroy's wanting to do here off the whistle, a whistle blows, chop me right here, trying to get to a wrist and control me. Okay, I want to keep that from happening. So my motion is this, whistle blows, I'm shooting this arm across quick. At the same time, what did I say from the beginning? My head and chest comes up, my butt comes up off my heels, right here. Okay, I'm in good shape. Block. You don't have a lot of time. I want to come back in and block. Leroy, and I may block here in this position so he can't get his hand immediately to his other hand, to lock hands. So I'm coming back inside. Remember what I said. The only way this guy's going to ever get his hands locked is if he can get underneath this arm, because I'm always going to be blocking. From here, back pressure in, isolate the hand. If I need help, I'll go help it. Hip heist, down and away. Okay, slap belly stand up, same situation. You know your guy chops. Okay, all I'm going to do from here is when the whistle blows, same thing I'm doing every single time. Head and chest comes up, back pressure into him. Hands are coming off the mat from here. Leroy's chopping, and all I'm going to do is take this hand and I'm going to give it to him. And I'm going to slap his belly right here. And as I slap his belly hard, I'm pulling that hand flat on his belly here, right upside his chest and out. Back into position. Okay, block. Okay, pressure back into him. I'm in the same position. Isolate the hand to the far hip pocket, changing elbows. So it's what we call a slap belly stand up. Very effective. You don't see it a lot anymore, other than some Oklahoma State wrestlers, but still a very effective stand up with clearing that chop arm. So again, here, he's on top, whistle blows, head and chest up. Slap it, back in. I'm right where I want to be. From here, pressure, back pressure. Two people pushing each other up, okay? Knees bent, change levels. Okay? So two different ways of clearing that chop arm. A third way, a heavyweight way, a big guy's way, it may be anyone that struggles coming up. And what we call is absorbing this. What happens when Leroy chops, okay, is most of the time they'll drop their body. You see where Leroy's dropping his body to that side? Okay? So if you know the guy's going to chop, let's say you're not real explosive about bringing your knees underneath you and your hips are up. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to absorb it. So without any pressure here, all I'm going to do is when the whistle blows, okay, jump off for just a second. When the whistle blows, I'm going to do this. Okay? And when I go away from the side he's chopping, right here, sag back. Okay? And what happens is I put him over there. He has slid off my body here. Okay? And when his reaction immediately is going to shift back into me. He's going to get back, and I'm up. So it's just a split hesitation to throw him over there. And as he readjusts, I'm up and out. So this is something that happens quick. We're doing it in a series here, just so I remind you that it's motion away and up. Okay? So again, whistle blows. We know he's chopping. Whistle blows. Okay? He jumped the whistle there. Okay? Ready? Go. He's here. He feels that pressure. And up. Okay? Three good techniques of defending that chop arm. We're going to focus a little bit on my opponent going to my ankles. We know he's going to our ankles. Anticipation is everything. Okay, I anticipate where he's going because of the way he dresses me when he comes on top of me. I said a chop arm guy, when he got up, most of the time he's trying to get a tight waist. If he's trying to get a tight waist, you know more than likely that he's going to the chop. Not more than likely, probably 19 out of 20 times that's what he's going to do. If the guy sags low, if he gets on top of me, his head's low, you feel him, he's barely got a hold of my ankle, my elbow, you know he's going to that waist on that side, and he's going to my ankle on the far side. Anticipate that. With experience, you'll get better at that. The quicker you learn to anticipate when your opponent comes to you and gets on top of you, the better it is, and the quicker you're going to be at being able to make a decision quickly to come out and what you need to do. So with that, I know Leroy's going to an ankle. He's dropping down low. Okay? He's in a low position. I feel him right now. I feel that head down low in the middle of my back. I feel this elbow right here. Is the key that I always say is that he got it real light. He's not grabbing it like he's going to chop it. He's grabbing it like he's getting ready to make a quick change off. Okay? From this position, we're going to do what we call a swisher stand-up. Okay? A lot of it's the same of what we're doing, but first we need to clear our ankle that he's attacking. Whistle blows, all I'm going to do is this. I'm going to roll my ankle out right here. Okay? Now from here, my back pressure goes back. I sit back into him here, and I point that knee up. Okay? I don't pick that foot up. I point the knee to the ceiling right here, and I push my hips back over my ankles here. Okay? Now from this position here, what's going to happen here is if he drops his head here, okay, we're going to do what we call a stand-up to a hip heist. If he drops his head here and I come out with my leg, he's down. I'm not going to my feet. All I do is chop back towards the arm that's around my waist. Hip heist. Okay? On my hip heist, all I'm doing here is taking one leg under. Some guys want to take it over. Just depends on your flexibility and what feels comfortable with. Here, straighten the leg, ending up with a bent knee. Once we escape him, we always recover towards our bent leg. Okay? Here. Okay? If I want to take it over, okay, I can take it over, end up here, recover towards our bent leg, right here. Put the toes in the mat. Don't step up to recover. Toes in the mat, okay, in this position. So, I feel him low, whistle blows, hip heist. He may get a hold of it, may get a good grip on it. That's okay in this position. Just get my knee up. Hips go back. I slide my butt back over my ankles so I can clear my feet out. Knee goes to the ceiling. Now, from here, I break this grip. If Leroy's got a tight grip on me, I break it by, okay, grab hold of it, by straightening my legs out. If he stays down right here, he's in this position, I walk my feet out to clear him and hip heist back towards the arm that's around my waist. Now, if he stands up with me, he goes to an ankle here, whistle blows. He goes to my ankle. I get here. He may stand up. Okay? Now, we probably are going to end up with hand control here. With the hand control here, I pull it high. And all I do is tuck back under. And I can come to my underhook. Okay? Or I can come out head to head. Okay? So, a couple different ways of scoring when a guy goes to your ankle off that whistle. But anticipating him going to that ankle is real important. Feeling him when he approaches me and when he comes down on me, I know where he's going, his only options. Any input?
With the ankle pick, it's as you said, you can feel the guy's usually dropping back, and if he goes to, if he switches legs, which oftentimes they do, and he goes here, and I realize I'm bad, I might switch off, but by that time, John's already go ahead and move out. I can't come back and get the other ankle because he's already out of there.
He's made that commitment to go there. This happens so fast that once you make that commitment, you're not going to get a chance to go to another attack. If I've exploded up with my heads, moved my hips back over, my knees came out, which is a big if. A lot of practice, a lot of work. Third popular way of a breakdown, you see the ankles, you see the tight waist, you see the chops. Spiral ride's another common way. And really, one of those three is usually occurring in a match. There may be a couple others, guys going to knees, trying to drive over, but traditionally, you wrestle 50 matches in a year, your opponent is going to try a chop, he's going to try to go to your ankle, or he's going to probably try a spiral ride. There may be a few things thrown in there that you have to work on for special individuals. But for the majority, every day in my practice, we have got to work clearing the chop, clearing the ankles, and clearing that spiral ride. Because I know that we're going to be in one of those when we get a good rider. And if you look at my good riders on my team, most of them got a good chop, a good spiral ride, and they know how to go to the ankles, and they use a combination of them as well. So those are the areas. When you're working on your stand-up, you should work all three areas. The guy going to ankle, chop, and spiral ride. So with that, we're going to cover the spiral ride. A spiral ride also can include a crab position. The guy may not trying to run his hips around in a semicircle. He may just be hanging in there, waiting for you to react so he can go to something. A lot of good crab ride guys wait for your reaction. They hang in there. You react, you try to stand up, they'll suck you back under, try to get in the crab ride position. So we're going to cover a couple things when the arm goes under and what we want to do when a guy's in a spiral ride position, but not necessarily always running the spiral. He could be trying to run it to a crab. Okay? So with that, here's our position. He's coming on, whistle blows, he's here. Now, when Leroy goes here, he's going in the crotch here, and he's coming underneath this arm, and normally the head's on the far side. Okay? Now, he can choose to run that in a half circle, throw his head high, and run in a half circle trying to bump this arm out to the wrist. Okay? Or he may choose just to hang in there and wait for me to react. which a lot of good riders do. It's a good way of stopping the stand-up off the whistle. Guy's trying to explode up on a stand-up. Okay, he's trying to explode up. He catches this leg here and moves my head and chest forward. So he stopped that first move. Okay, so spiral ride, I think it's one of the most effective moves to stop your opponent's first move. Now, what you do after is going to determine whether you're going to ride or not. So what we're going to do is, I know Leroy runs a good spiral ride, always has, and what I'm going to do is try to take advantage of knowing that's where he's going. Okay, a couple key things that we want to do here is when you're going to know that they're running a spiral ride and they're trying to create that angle and get across and to the side of me. Off the whistle, I want to turn. I want to turn my body. So when the whistle blows and he goes to the position here and he comes under here, I'm going to turn. I'm going to start my motion and I'm going to turn. What I want to do is always stay square with him. Okay? He's not nearly effective with a crab ride, or not a crab ride, but a spiral ride, a cuff ride. They call it a cuff ride, head under. Guy's not really running the spiral. He's not nearly effective when I put him directly behind me. Okay? Because he's got no pressure. Where he gets pressure at when he's running that spiral ride or in this position, where he gets pressure is because he's got an angle on me. I feel that weight on my hands. Okay? I can't give him that angle on me and also try to get it up and out and react from it. So from the very start, I'm never going to give him that angle. And it's nice to know if your opponent does that, you know. So I'm wrestling Leroy. It's my turn to go down. I choose down. I've seen him wrestle. He's a great spiral ride. He jumps out there. I'm going to square up. I'm going to square up. And I can immediately pop up. So what I'm going to do is not an inside leg stand-up, similar, but I'm going to pivot my leg to the outside. I'm going to pivot this leg up, and I'm going to square. Now notice what I did. I slide my knee underneath me. Okay, from here, I got to explode up. I got to come up. Okay, and take the hand control. Okay. Now, again, if I got a hand high, I'm just going to tuck back under. Okay? But here's the motion. Wait just a minute. Here's the motion without somebody on you. Whistle blows. I'm here. I'm here. Okay? And from here, I got to get this knee underneath me. I slide here. Now, it's a lot easier because I'm getting to push back against Leroy when I'm sliding my hips underneath. But the quickest thing I want to do is to get this hand off the mat, because he may be in a spiral, but he'll immediately switch to a chop. Okay? And he goes to a chop with me in this position. It's going to be pretty easy to put me to the mat. So again, from here, whistle blows. You know, he's going here, square. Got one hand high, one hand low, just like he was when we were down here. Okay? That's where I'm going to end up. One hand high, one hand low. You can peel this hand out and cut back under. Keep this hand high, changing levels. Okay? Real simple little technique, and again, without a partner, all I'm doing is pivoting this ankle up. Not picking it up, not stepping up, I'm just pivoting that knee up from right here. From here, I'm using my back pressure to stay square. Okay? He's going to be directly behind me. Okay? So again, he's on me. He's going to that spiral. What's here? Now, same way with the hip highs. This position. If Leroy don't come up quick, I'm just going to cut under. I don't have to force it up. I make that decision immediately. Extend out, hip heist, down and out. And we've talked about the hip heist a little bit, just mentioning it. It's one of the most effective techniques there is. You hip heist in a lot of positions, not just in the down position. You can hip heist off of takedowns, off of finishes on single legs, on top. There's times when you're going to have to hip heist. It's a technique, when we're just taking a foot under and learning to twist our hips. It's a very essential skill in wrestling that you need. And there's a lot of hip heist drills, and I'm sure there's a lot of tapes that cover good hip heist drills, and it should be something that you're putting into your warm-up at the beginning of practice or your conditioning at the end of practice. But sometime during practice, there needs to be some hip heist done. Because in competition, especially collegiate wrestling, you're always hip heisting. Anything with that?
Well, just the fact that you, on a spiral, you are under this arm, so this is what he is doing. Technically, he is aware that he can't bring his hands back in because I have a hand under here, and the last thing he wants is for me to get wrist control. So that's another factor in a spiral, is that you're aware that you can't be bringing your arms back in here because that's where you're going to get re-wristed, and then I'm going to put him back on his shoulder and break him back down. So this, by doing what he's doing, he's very conscientious of where his hands are and his arms are in this process. He's not bringing them back in where I can re-wrist him.
Always when you go to the hands, grab all four, thumb goes to the middle. I'm pinching in, I'm trapping that arm in, even in this position. And I'm coming in, controlling wrist, okay? I make this guy tied up. I make these hands tied. Sure, he's going to start trying to fight back to those wrists. Now it's a matter of you executing quickly because, hips. Yeah, absolutely. All my hips are going to do the work. But in time, I spend enough time here, Leroy will get to my wrist. I'm not in the position of power there. I'm in the position of time. I got enough time to get up and out, okay? But if we stay there long enough, he's in position to bring those hands together and score. Now I just want to spend some time when we get to our feet and just cover a couple situations that are real important. That you're not going to always just come up and have hand control and hip heist out. There's a lot of ways that you can finish coming out and actually scoring your 1 point, or possibly even scoring reversal. But there's a couple key things that you need to be prepared for. Okay, and one is the guy, well, even though I got good position, he gets to my wrist, he gets under, and he gets to my wrist right here. This is a technique that should be drilled daily. I'm wrestling a good wrestler, maybe half the time I'm getting to this position. Anytime you're controlling, he gets to your wrist. Now, remember, if you don't got a hand control, all four fingers, you don't have a chance anyway. You don't go grab a wrist, okay? Wrist does nothing. If he gets his hands locked, okay, right here, I'm done, okay? If I'm grabbing a wrist and he locks his hands, I'm done, okay? I mean, not that I'm done, but it's going to be a very big disadvantage for me once he gets his hands locked. But if I get here and he gets under, or he busts through and he gets to my wrist, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that wrist and take it over my lead hip. Lead leg, lead hip, okay? Right here. Now, I'm going to take the thumb and put it on the wrist. And all I'm going to do is, as I push, I'm also changing levels. I'm making him carry it. Now, my thumb, this hand, I'm going to roll this thumb in between my hip and his wrist to clear it. Right here. Right here. And now take my hips out. Remember what we do when we change levels? Change levels. Drop the hand. So again, we do this over and over again in practice. Over and over again. This little drill is extremely important. Hand down, blocking that. Okay, again, here, comes under, gets the wrist, shoots it across. Roll the thumb, change levels, bend knee, change levels. Okay? It's even a little bit tough for me not to extend my legs straight, like when I discussed at the beginning of this tape how easy it is, especially when you go in slow motion. But force yourself to bend those knees. Okay? If your opponent gets his hands locked, we come up and he gets his hands locked. There's a lot of things that we can do from here. But remember, this is the last position I want to be in. Okay? The good thing about this is, which I don't care for the rule, because sometimes it's very tough for this guy to actually put me in the air and put me back down now. But we have what we call a 5-second rule, where you got to put the guy back down to the mat in 5 seconds. And the technique for this guy has been to just stay on his feet and keep this guy from putting us back to the mat. We know he's eventually got to let his hands go, which that's the reason I don't like the rule, because they don't really understand how tough it is to pick a good guy up off his feet and slam him back down the mat. It's tough to do, but we don't necessarily want to wait on that. We want to go to work here, okay? Now, what I want to do, if I'm here, I want to put pressure on his hands, okay? Now, all I'm going to do, there's a couple things, is I can push palm to the back of his hand, palm to the back of his hand, and I turn. And as I do it, I go get their hands and out. Again, right here. A lot of pressure. You feel that? Okay? Sticking those bones right there into those wrists right here. Twisting them. Okay? Right here. coming out. Now, the old getting it over your hip, still good stuff. Problem is getting it to your hip. Leroy's squeezing hard up here. He's squeezing. He's up around my waist. Sometimes it's hard, okay, in this position to get it over our hip. So this is why if I can't get it over my hip, I'm starting to work those hands here. I'm starting to work them, okay, and coming out. All right. Anytime we get lifted, we want to try to avoid it, okay. He starts to lift. I block, okay. I can hit a switch. Best time to hit a switch off of that. I stand up. My plan was to get a hand control and hip heist down and away. Okay? But he beat me. He's stepping high. I block. From here, hip goes down, and I'm turning right into my switch, which most of you, I'm sure, knows a switch. If you don't, I'm not teaching switch today, but the switch is available. Okay? So again, he's here. I beat, block, switch. Going all the way around, okay, for a point or possibly a reversal. It's a good time. If he lifts, anytime I get lifted, the knees go to my chest. Prepare that you're going to get dropped, okay? If he gets me up, sometimes instead of fighting to try to keep your balance or getting that leg out before you fall, go with it, okay? He sweeps me up. I'm in trouble. I don't want to be there, but I got there. Get my knees to my chest as we go back down. Okay, more than likely my head is going down first, but my knees are going to follow immediately as my hands touch. My knees are coming back underneath me. Head and chest pressure back. Hips come back out. So he's here. He lifts, and up. Okay. What most of the time we do when we lift, we stay long. Okay, we stay long. Okay, and we fall long. Okay. Anytime we go in the air, get ready for position. Get ready for the reaction after we hit that mat. Hope that helps you. Stand up, a great move. There's a lot of techniques, but the few little things that are real important regardless of how you learn your stand-up, the few little things that I added to make sure you're aware of, that V, this does not help you. Getting our head and chest back is more important than getting our leg out. That leg is going to follow. Those key things, regardless of what kind of stand-up you're doing, they've got to take place against good people. Good luck.